Andariki namaskaram. So, I very well understand that I am dealing with faculty members who have got immense experience. Very senior members are here. There are freshers here, some I could see. So, I am not going to present something what you don't know or something which is completely new to you, something out of the world. I am not going to present that. There are different ways of teaching. Ultimately, as a teacher, irrespective of the university where we teach, all of us share one common intention. Students should learn something, irrespective of whichever university you belong to. That is a mentality of the faculty. Students also share a common mentality, whether they belong to IIT or MIT or VIT or VVIT. They open the book only one day before the exam. That is student mentality. So how to balance this? So in that direction, I am going to share some of my experiences with you. And towards the end of the session, probably any one of you, if you can also share your experience, it will be a learning experience with mutual exchange of thoughts. First of all, I am very glad for having this opportunity to interact here. P. Venkateshwar Babu Garu, he is the one who has coordinated the event. I thank him right from beginning till the event has taken place. So as I move forward, there are two aspects we are going to discuss today. One is quality initiatives, the other one is best practices. Two different things. And I am going to discuss into the best practices in the teaching learning process. So how are we going to move forward? 2:30, okay. So the overall content, if we look into the delivery of presentation, understanding the student needs and know how to deliver an effective lecture, being able to effectively prepare for a course, understand how to balance the lecture, be able to handle difficult situations effectively, identification of slow learners, bringing research into classroom, and then design the assessments as per the OBE, outcome based education. Now, sure. So now, understanding the student needs is a first step for a successful learning process. It's always a teaching and learning process. It's not only teaching process, which is the reason why a certain specific subject has got only 3 hours of interaction, 3 credit course. If you look into the Stanford Statistical Institute, they are the people actually who came out with the credits. Some course should have only 3 credit hours, some course are 4 credit hours, some course are 2 credit hours. It all based on the rigor of the course. Teaching and learning, once you teach, I can say a course in strength of materials, because I come from mechanical engineering background, say strength of materials course, it's a 45 hours course, 8 hours a day, I can complete the course in 1 week. Teaching can be done, but the learning cannot be done. So I have to complete the teaching learning cycle. So if I take this course more than 3 hours per week, the student will not have sufficient time to comprehend what is taught. So there is time for teaching, there is a time for learning and comprehension. So this is the first step, understanding the student need. Now while we go ahead with this, as a teacher, there are certain qualities which a teacher should have, and there are certain qualities which a teacher should not have. So this is what we call the like qualities and unlike qualities of a teacher. The like qualities we all know and we all practice it as well. A teacher, he is a learner, he is a fast thinker, he is calm, he is a subject expert, he is a listener, he is a communicator, he is confident, enthusiastic, optimistic, organized, team player and assertive. These are the qualities which do have. I am not going to spend much time on this. And unlike qualities, the first thing focus is corrupt. Unlike qualities means the qualities which a teacher should not have. The first quality comes is corrupt. In the sense, we should be unbiased. And once if a teacher is biased, it completely spoils the teaching learning cycle. It completely spoils the teaching learning cycle. And the last point is also very important. First point and last point. Intermediate points, of course, they do play. But the first and last I have categorically kept. The first one is not being corrupt. The last one is taking credit for all that is good. In the sense, if at all the class highest, the class pass percentage is very high, there is no student who has failed. And the principal or the vice chancellor, they call and ask you, we take the complete credit. We don't give any credit to the student. I have taught, I have given this assignment, I have given something else to the students, because of my effort, student has passed. When we take a complete credit, the student gets demoralized. We do have a role to play. We can take a credit, but at the same time give equal weightage to the student. So that is another aspect. Now, conventional teaching and learning process, if we see, the learning process is severely affected by conventional teaching learning process, because the teaching is only one way. The teacher speaks and the student listens. There is no participative learning, which is what happens. Direct instruction of facts and standard methods. And usually what happens, this fourth point, if we see, exam oriented or CGPA driven. All of us, what do we do in the beginning of semester? There is a continuous assessment test, we call that there. Probably we may have internal exam. We cover the syllabus. What is the teacher supposed to do? Cover the syllabus. But I say the other way around. A teacher is not supposed to cover the syllabus. He is supposed to uncover the syllabus. We are supposed to uncover the syllabus, but we are covering the syllabus, which is what actually makes the student lose the interest. And lack of emphasis on soft skills needed in the job. So soft skills, yeah, we have got a separate, you may have a separate group or a separate hour to impart soft skills to the student. But while we teach the course, there is a necessity of imparting soft skills to the students via the subject what we are teaching. So that is another aspect. Now, as we see here, tell me and I hear, show me and I see, involve me and I learn. So participative learning, conventional learning, as I mentioned, is only one way. I speak, you listen. Participative learning is two way. In the sense, in the first case you only hear, second case you only see, the third case you do the part, your experiment part. So this is what is a cone of learning. What happens when you involve? This is the cone of learning. If you see, this is a pyramid. There are three phases when you transmit knowledge: verbal, visual and doing. The first two things, verbal and visual, they come under passive learning. You speak and show a video. There is no participation, that comes under passive learning. Verbal is receiving, visual receiving. Active is receiving and participating and doing. This is the active learning part. So this is the fundamental difference between conventional learning and participative learning. In participative learning, active learning happens. And what comes under verbal receiving and visual receiving? So Edgar Dale, in his 1996 Audio Visual Methods in Teaching, the third edition, if you see this is the cone of learning which has been taken from there. 10% of what we read only we remember. If you read something, after you read a complete paragraph or a chapter, one remembers only 10% of what he has read. 20% of what we hear, 30% of what you see. So that is reading, then hearing words, looking at pictures or watching a movie. 50% of what we hear and see. You hear and see both, you remember only 50% of it. 70% of what we say means after you hear, you explain it to someone. When you explain it to someone, you remember 70% of it. And 90% of what we both say and do. That is why famously what we say is walk the talk. Walk the talk. Practice before you preach. So 90% of what we say and what we do will actually the student remembers. It enters into his long-term memory. When we only, in the passive learning, it just remains in his short-term memory. It remains in his short-term memory. Like an example, there are things which we do every day, they just enter our short-term memory. Like suppose someone randomly picks you up and asks you, "Nenu intlo em coor chesaru?" You can't give an answer immediately. Today, what is the curry? What is the dal? You will immediately tell. What is yesterday's curry in the house? You don't give an immediate answer. Because it was there in your short-term memory. You slept and you woke up, it got erased. It's a short-term memory. So, when the students are involved in passive learning, most of the information content gets stored in the short-term memory. So, participative learning or active learning need not necessarily be experimentation always. It can be interaction, it can be quizzes, it can be flip model of classroom. All these kinds can make the students involve in the teaching learning process. Now, if you see, this is a constructive teacher, introspection of a constructive teacher. Constructive teacher, if you see, before we go to any class or anything, we see what are our objectives, what do students already know. This is one thing what we miss. Have I chosen the right method for presentation? Will my visual aids have sufficient impact? How will I know if the teaching session has been successful? So the last item speaks of the feedback. How will I know if the teaching session has been successful? So feedback is not just a once in a semester process, rather it is a class to class process. Every class you should have a method of gathering the feedback. The method of gathering the feedback need not necessarily be you sending a questionnaire to them. You get the feedback based on the body language. You get the feedback based on the interaction of the student after the class. These are all the different feedbacks what you get from the student rather than the conventional you send a Google form or a questionnaire, give a feedback. Yeah, while that gives a recorded feedback, a teacher has got a very important role of gathering the feedback by visual examination, by interacting with the students in the class. Now, this is what the elements of teaching process. There are 5 elements in the teaching learning process: the sender, the receiver, the message, the environment, the feedback. All these 5, if you see the sender, the person who is sending the message, that is the teacher here, he has to have these 3 questions. Is he clear about what he is saying? How is his tone of voice and his gestures? Is he prepared and assured what he is trying to convey? And the receiver, is he or she ready to listen? What is her mood? What is the level of engagement? Are the participants angry, happy, sad, or hungry, sleepy? So the second part is important because a session post-lunch, a session pre-lunch, a session just before the college buses leave, one day before the university day or the college day, you have to catch the pulse of the students. Although we try to cover the syllabus, the students are not always the same. They are sometimes in an excited level. 2 days university day will start, or a college day is there, or a sports event is there. They are in the class, they are also not in the class. So receiver's condition also the sender has to take, and the message. So based on the receiver's condition, the message has to be tailor-made that day. I might have come to the class prepared to deliver a huge content, but then once I come to the class, the receiver is not in a proper state to receive the message. Then I have to tailor-make the content what is actually planned for the day. Environment is another thing. which plays a very, very crucial role. The environment is, this is a comfortable AC room, and we all know the harsh summers of Krishna and Guntur district. The summers are very harsh here. Probably a post-lunch session after summer in a regular classroom without AC. You might be Einstein delivering the best of the lecture, but you can't grab the attention of the student. It's impossible to grab the attention of the student. So environment do play a very crucial role in the teaching learning process as well. The last one is the feedback. As I've told, it's not a once in a semester activity, which we might do it as a part of accreditation requirement or under a ranking agency's requirement, but it's a day-to-day process which you gather the feedback by the non-verbal body language of the student. That's what we do. Ultimately, a successful teacher is this. He prevents the 6 P's formula: prevent poor performance by proper preparation and practice. The 6 P principle: prevent poor performance by proper preparation and practice. So this is what a good teacher does. Now, how should I prepare? If you see, the teaching depends on who I am. Let us say you're teaching a play group, or you're teaching a high school, or you're teaching a graduate and a higher education, or you're giving corporate training. Probably the topic of discussion could be the same, what you're delivering, but the group of the audience is changing from place to place. I'll tell you a very simple example how we proceed with that. An example from my own personal life, I often share this example. Let us say you're teaching a kindergarten student, an LKG student. It happened like this example has registered in my mind because it's something from my personal experience. Maybe around 8 years back, 9 years back. I have 2 daughters, the elder one. So when I was in Orissa, so I was going on a bike and I made my daughter sit on the oil tank. I had a Hero Passion. So I made her sit on the oil tank and I was going on to a marketplace. And being a driver, my attention is on the road, traffic and all. But she, 4.5 years I guess, or 4 years at that time, her attention was on the surroundings. Anyway, I went to the market, I purchased whatever I want, I came back, parked the vehicle in my parking space. And then all of a sudden, she asked me, she calls me Appa, A-P-P-A. Appa is a Tamil word, means father. So she told me, Appa, I've seen something wonderful. I asked her, what is that you have seen so wonderful? She told, when we started from home, I saw the moon is here. We went to the marketplace, then we went to the shopping mall. Moon is coming along with me, Appa. We went there to the shopping mall. It stopped there. Again from there I came back. The moon again came back to our house. So I told, yes, good, very good. And so as a father, and the sweetness of married life is children, all of us know, most of us know. So 3.5 years, 4 years child, I was more curious that what else did you see apart from moon? She told stars. So as a parent, I want to hear the sweet words of a 3.5 year, 4 year child, twinkle, twinkle, little star. If they tell the poems, we feel so happy. So with that intention in my mind, I asked her, what else did you see? She told she saw clouds. What else did you see? I asked, what else did you see? What else did you see? Till she told stars. What do you remember when you think of stars? Then she beautifully recited this story. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. I was happy. So sweet words coming from her mouth. Well, I parked my bike. This conversation was going as I was climbing the steps. Then all of a sudden she asked me a question and I was completely taken aback. Completely taken aback. The question was, Appa, why do star twinkle? Tare kyun chamakte? Why do star twinkle? I was completely taken aback. Not because I don't know the answer. I very well know the answer. There is something called laws of reflection. There is an incident ray, there is a reflected ray, there is a normal ray, there is a denser medium, there is a rarer medium. Light, when it travels from rarer medium to denser medium, it passes to the normal. Rarer to denser, it moves away from the normal. There is a total internal reflection. There is air blanket, temperature difference, density difference. All the damn things along with the equations I know. But I can't tell you all these answers to a 3-year-old child. Not just me. Who in the world can convince the 3-year-old child giving this answer, Tare Kyu Chamakte? I can't give this answer to her. I definitely can't give this answer to her. If I give this answer to her, the Snell's law, mu is equal to sin A by sin R, I is angle of incidence, mu is refractive index, probably she will go and tell to her mother, something has happened to him, just be careful with him. So I had my suspicions, so I did not give this answer to her. But then I thought it was a serious question which I have to answer. Because the statistics survey, exactly don't remember what the survey was, who conducted the survey, but the result of the survey, what it tells is, children up to the age of 5, they ask more than 10,000 questions. From the age of, up to the age of 5, they ask 10,000 questions. From the age of 5 to 10, they ask around 2,000 questions, reduced 5 times. After the age of 10 to 13, till teens, they ask less than 500 questions. If you observe, even when I read that survey, I thought it was a fact. Everything is a question up to the age of 5. I remember when I went to zoo along with my father, I asked 100 questions when I just saw a lion. I asked my father, how much height a lion can jump? He told it can jump this much height. Then I asked, will it jump higher than, this gate, can it jump? Whichever object I see, I would ask, can it jump this? Can it jump that? So many questions we ask. But as we grow, the tendency to question comes down. And now we are dealing with students at higher education level. Now I thought I should give an answer to her because she is looking up to me for an answer. So I did not give an answer to her because I didn't know what answer to give to her. Because no answer would be satisfying. I can't give a technical answer to her. For sure, 3 years old girl. I took a while, 2 days I took, but I thought it's my responsibility to give an answer. So after 2 days, I gave an answer with which she was totally satisfied. I told her, "Beta thare isliye chamakte, the stars twinkle because God made them like that." God made them like that. Is it a wrong answer? It's definitely not a wrong answer. And an answer which she could understand that only. She cannot understand anything more than that. 3 years old child or 4 years old child, I gave that answer, "Tare isliye chamakte," because God made them like that. She was so happy with the answer. But I am not going to give the same answer to that girl when she is in class 10. I am the same person, I know the same knowledge, I know the same theory, the same equation, the same Snell's law. The child is also the same, but the learning group has changed. Previously she was in a kindergarten, now she is in a higher school. Tomorrow she is going to be in a UG course. Day after tomorrow she is going to be in a corporate training. Whatever it is. So that is what, so irrespective of the content, the learning group is very, very crucial, and the teacher has got a very, very important role in modulating and delivering the content. So this is what bewilders. So ultimately what happens is, you can be an effective speaker only when there is an effective listener. You can be an effective speaker only when the listener is effective. Let us assume, post lunch, you went to a class, all the students are sleeping. You really prepared the best, the most tough topic. You brought so many lively examples. You presented really to your heart content. Most of the students slept in the class. Someone after the class is over, ela indra class ivala, how is the class? Edo cheppadra sir, nenu padukunnanu. What happened to all your effort? You are an effective speaker, but the listener is not effective. So it makes a combination, and the responsibility lies on the speaker to make the listener effective. The responsibility lies on the teacher. I'll tell you an example. Let us say you have to teach a lion. Teaching a lion. I'll stop at 3:15 or 3:20. Yeah. So let us say you're teaching a lion. This example may look odd, but then I want to convey a very serious principle. Lions are taught, lions and tigers are taught. Agree with that? If you go to circus, then we'll understand really how these animals are taught. Does any one of you any clue how a tiger or a lion is trained? Okay. I hope you might have heard of something called Chipperfield Circus. Chipperfield actually is a family, circus family. I don't know if you have heard. It's some 3 centuries or 3 or 4 generations of people, the family, they are into circus business. It's like UK based family, Chipperfield. From 1700s or 1800s, they are into circus. Some John Chipperfield, and after his son is Weasley Chipperfield. The Chipperfield is a family name, and the circus became a Chipperfield Circus. They were in 1700s. They almost ruled the whole world. The circus means Chipperfield, because they used to. He was actually an animal caretaker. The first person who started the Chipperfield theory, he was just an animal caretaker. And then over the time, he gained the tricks how to train the animals. And then he pulled people, and then he started doing the things. And then he started a circus of his own. My point is, I'll tell you the way how a tiger is trained. It's pretty interesting. First thing, the first step, you capture it. Everyone knows it. And just imagine you are capturing the wild and you have to tame it. A tiger or a lion is a wild let loose. You can just imagine. Open in the jungle, nobody can control. He's a king. Now you have to capture him and make him obey whatever you say. Make him obey whatever you say. Pretty interesting. If you see, this is what a lion does. A wild let loose who would just smell human blood and attack is now just dancing at the commands of the trainer. And you can see this face on face with the king, the Lion King. Now, a tiger or a lion, after captured, the next thing what they do is they starve it. No food. Can you imagine no food for how many days? Minimum 30 days. Only water once on a third day. It becomes so weak, that it can't stand on its legs. A lion, the Lion King, 30 days, no food, only water once in 3 days. It becomes so weak that it can't stand on its legs. If it tries to stand, its legs would shiver and it would fall down. They starve it to that condition inside the bone. After that, they send a small goat or whatever it is inside, just to ensure. Now the goat may be standing in front of it, but this fellow cannot attack. He is hungry, no doubt. He wants to, but he cannot. He can't do it. After that, once the trainer, he ensures that it is not attacked. Based on my own experience, my classroom experience, my personal experiences, what I've read, I read a lot of literature. I do a lot of literature and I try to pick up examples from there. Unless otherwise you give, I'm a very good storyteller. Let me tell you that. I'm a good storyteller. I can narrate things well, which is my strength. Different people have got different strengths, right? I know my strength and I take advantage of it. Unless you present the things in a more practical way where the students can relate, it's very difficult to get the attention of the people. Forgive me if I have spoken something wrong which hurts any one of you, right? But this is what I've got to share. Thank you for the opportunity.